Hello, and welcome to the third video in this series in which I attempt to reassemble John Lennon's childhood stamp collection. Today I'm going to be looking at the pages for Australia and Canada. You can see the Australia one there on the screen. There's not too many stamps in these two, and Australia and Canada as well are separated by several empty pages in the album, as you can see here. So when I make my album pages, I've decided just to skip pages which don't have any stamps on and just concentrate on the pages which do have stamps on. So it will be Australia and then Canada, which you can see here in front of you. And I've put together my album pages as normal, so I'm going to hunt through my albums and see what I can find. So I've printed out the two album pages I'm going to need, Australia and Canada. You may notice something different this time. They've got those little black and white photos on them, the little pictures of the stamps. Now I didn't do that previously because I'm using Microsoft Word and I thought that putting pictures on would muck up the alignment of everything, but I worked out how to do it. It's actually really simple. So I think in future, if and when I do some more of these pages, I will be putting those little thumbnail pictures on as well, because I think they make it look a lot more authentic. Right, so this is the Australia page. Hopefully I've managed to lay things out on the screen this time so that you can see a bit more clearly than last time I tried to do this. And so, as ever, I'm going to pull out one of these old albums that I have a look through and see what I can find. Now, none of the stamps here are rare, so I'm optimistic I'll be able to find all of them. So let's have a look and see what we've got. I mean, straight away there's one of these Australian wildlife stamps. And that goes right down there in the bottom of the page. These are just typical childhood stamps, very abundant. That one there that I've just laid on the paper, that's part of John Lennon had a pair of those joined together, so I don't expect that I'm going to find a pair of them in my album. So as I've done before, a couple of singles will suffice, and I'll lay them on the paper next to each other. Oh yeah, I pulled out this Perfin, G, M and W I think it says. Not quite sure what that means. I'll put it in position for now, and if I find one without the holes in, then I'll swap that out. And there's one more. Okay, so that's that album done. Let's go through the next. Right, and straight away my eyes fall on this one. That's the one I just had with the Perfin holes in. So that's a swap. I'll take out the one with the holes. Slightly awkward doing this because the album that you're looking at wants to spring shut. So I'm having to hold that open with my elbow while I use my other two hands to move the stamps around. Not ideal. Right, and there's its partner stamp, the 2-cent one. And another one. I'm just having to be a little bit careful here as to which stamps I pull out, because a few of these Australia stamps, they look quite similar to each other. I'll need to make sure I get the right one each time. And another. These stamps really are super abundant. And here's a second one in the top right corner there to go with the first one I found, and they should look okay side by side. There's actually not that many stamps on these pages if you look. There's quite a lot of empty space on them. It looks like there were more stamps on the album page originally. You can see some hinge marks left over where they used to be. Don't know what became of them. Right. So I found all the stamps I needed. I decided to go through the albums and look for any upgrades off camera, and I found this, amazingly enough, the pair of stamps that I needed for the page. So I'll take those and we'll swap out those two singles. And that page is done. Notice this as well. Don't know what this is. Doesn't look like it's been cut down by hand. No idea. If you know what that is, let me know in comments. Right, so we move on to the Canada page now then. Straight away we've got this vertical stamp that's just sitting on the right hand side of the page there. Now some of these stamps that I'm pulling out of this album aren't in very good condition. You can tell just by looking at the album I'm working from. It's really quite a tatty collection, this one. But the funny thing is, with John Lennon's collection being a typical childhood collection, the stamps in there also aren't in great condition a lot of the time. So even if I find stamps which are a bit grubby or past their best, they still work for the purposes of this project, and I'm still happy to have them. Although I am, as I did with the Australia pages, I am going to go through afterwards and just check the albums that I'm working from to see if I can find any upgrades. There's quite a few of these as well, look similar to one another, so I'm just taking my time to make sure I do get the right stamp and lay that on the paper, because it'll be very easy to pick one that looks slightly different. That green one I've just put down, for example, there's a 1 cent and a 2 cent example sitting next to each other on the original page. The only difference is the number in the corner, so just got to be extra careful. 2 gaps to fill. Okay, and there's the 1 cent stamp. And this is the last one I'm going to need. I have at least one example of every stamp now. This one's a definite upgrade on the one I found first, so I may as well take it. I spotted this as well in the album. Now a lot of collectors don't like these cut squares, but I do. I think they're great. They're almost like stamps that never were. So always interested to see things like that. But I'm aware that that's been cut out of a piece of postal stationery. Right, so sticking them in now. They look quite haphazard on the page like this. A lot of empty spaces, but I guess that's just the way this collection grew when it was first put together way back in the, I would guess, the 1940s. Notice this one has a straight edge as well along the top. Didn't realise that when I pulled it out the album, but that's fine, I'm happy to use that. Okay, on to Australia. Now this pair of stamps that I'm about to put in now, I'm always unsure when I have a pair like this whether to use one hinge centrally across the two stamps or whether to use two hinges, one on each. I decided just to go for one this time and place that in the middle, but if you have any views on that, let me know what you do in the comments. Right, so it hasn't taken very long to complete this page as well. Just get these wildlife stamps in position. And last but not least, so there we are. Australia, page 9 of the original album. Not looking bad. And page 14 of the original album for Canada. I'm quite pleased how these have come out. Thanks for watching. See you next time.